Hey guys, it's Key here from Kegland, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the new Cannular canning machines. Now this is a product that we've been working on for quite some time now, and it's one which really, it's the first type of its kind. This is a canning machine which comes in a price range where it's reachable by pretty much all of you guys. And I think it's one of the things that will enable a lot of home brewers to put a lot of their beer in cans, and a lot of those even very small craft breweries who are doing fairly manual packaging runs or small run packaging runs. It'll enable them to put their product in cans as well. Canning is such an important type of beer packaging. It's really one of the best forms of disposable beer packaging for many reasons, and it's one of those things that really it hasn't been easy or possible for a lot of home brewers to do in the past, and they've had to resort to glass bottles. But really there's a couple major benefits of cans over bottles, and that's firstly the fact that cans are perfect in terms of the way that they block light. So no light can get through the metal surface of the can. And when you compare that to a glass bottle, you get all that damaging light comes in, particularly the light which is in around about the 350 to 550 nanometer range. So that's sort of green to blue and violet lights. A lot of people think that it's just ultraviolet light which damages beer and skunks beer, but it's actually a lot of these visible light ranges. And even in a short period, if you get a glass of beer in a transparent glass and stick it in the sun, you'll notice within 5 minutes that beer is already starting to take on a skunky smell. And it depends a little bit on the type of hops used and how the beer is brewed in terms of how bad that will be. But you always want to keep light off beer, and that's why aluminium cans are fantastic in that respect. The other thing is, if you look at glass bottles, one of the problems with them is they've got this little seal under the crown, under the crown seal, and that little gasket or bit of rubber there that actually allows a very small amount of gas to transmit in each direction, both oxygen going into the bottle and damaging that beverage like beer, and beer being so oxygen sensitive, really it can degrade the quality of the beer. The other thing is you get CO2 loss. Now this is only a very small amount, but it is there and it's a measurable amount. So that's something that will happen over time. If you get a very old glass bottle, it'll actually start to go flat over time. So for these two major factors, anyone who's really into their beer and really loves craft brewing, you'll notice a lot of them really love cans for the very reason that it keeps the beverage in absolute best quality. And that's why it's been so important for us to come up with a machine exactly like this. Now there are secondary benefits to cans as well, of course. I mean, they're more recyclable than glass. I mean, if you go and look at a lot of the glass collection in Australia, sadly, a lot of it goes into landfill or it goes into massive warehouses where it's simply not economical to recycle. The other problem is cans are lighter. I mean, they don't use as much fossil fuels to transport. They cool faster in the fridge. They're easier to dispose of, and they don't break or smash like bottles, I guess. So, safe around pools or taking camping with you and stuff like that as well. Now when it comes to beer, the Australian market often follows a lot of the same trends we have in the States. Now you've probably already noticed in a lot of the Australian bottle shops and stuff like that, you'll see that cans are becoming more popular. But here's a graph showing the American market figures, and you can see we're following this type of trend as well. So you can see in 2013, no matter what size of the brewery there was, down to 1,000 barrels or less, or even up to 10 million, the trend is more or less the same. You can see in 2013, the percentage of beer packaged in cans was relatively low. And then in 3 years' time, in 2016, you can see the number of beers, or the volume of beer packaged in cans has doubled pretty much across the entire board. So no matter what size of the brewery, we can see this huge increase and shift from people out of bottling into canning. And that's exactly what this graph displays. Now that's the same thing in Australia as well. I reckon in 5 years' time we're going to see more of our beer in Australia packaged in cans than bottles, purely because it keeps the beverage in such better quality than it does in bottles. Now the canning machine has been designed to be really easy to maintain and use. Firstly, the complete platform assembly here has been made by 3 or 4 stainless steel, so it won't rust like some of the other canning machines you see on the market. The body of the machine has been made with hammered sheet metal, and also all the screws that hold the thing together are also made out of stainless steel as well. There's minimal controls on this thing, making it really easy to operate. You've just got the one lever here, so after you've put the can up, you've just got the one lever on the side here, which you move in back direction and then forward direction in order to seam the can. So that's really straightforward. Lastly, with the power supply, it's a 24 volt. So we've got 24 volt DC, and the reason we've done that and use this Anderson socket, which just plugs into the back of the machine like this, is simply because we want to make sure this machine is safe to use in a wet environment. So you don't have 240 volts, which potentially could come out and spill on something, and then you electrocute yourself. We've specifically done that with an Anderson socket to keep these machines as safe as possible. The Cannular canning machine works with various different cans of all different sizes. Now, the diameters can vary in between 35 millimeters being the smallest, way up to 75 millimeters. So you could do even things like baked bean tins or larger. And with regards to the height of the cans, you can go down to 45 millimeters high, up to 170 millimeters high. So you've got a reasonable amount of range. That pretty much covers all the cans that you would see out there. Now, out of the box, the Cannular canning machine will come with one set of dies. So when I mean dies, I mean the bottom piece here. So this is called the platform die. So when you fit this on the machine, this doesn't just go straight on there. It has a three-piece bearing like this. We use a three-piece bearing so it's easily washable as well. Makes it a little bit more sanitary. So you have to pack the bearing in here like that with these 1, 2, 3 pieces. Then you put the platform die on. Now the second die that you need to know about is this one up here. So each, the top and bottom die, the platform and the top die, these are specifically designed to suit certain can shapes. So you can see here on the platform, I've got this base fits perfectly in that can. So every time I need to change the can diameter or the can shape, I need to change the platform die. And same again with this die on top, which can be released with an Allen key, which comes included with the kit. So you notice the caps on the cans, this top die actually fits neatly in there, and that has to be a snug fit. Now, if you're particularly good on a lathe, you can probably make up dies yourself pretty easily, to be honest with you. They're not really that complicated dies. They're pretty much just cylindrical bits of steel which are machined precisely so they fit into the caps and also fit onto the bottom of the can. The other thing is there's spacers as well. So if you've got some of the shorter or higher cans, you sometimes will need a spacer. There is a little bit of adjustment you have on this platform. So this turntable here can actually has an adjustment for fine adjustment here. But if you've got major height adjustments, you'll need to pack in packers here, and we'll sell them on the website as well, so you'll be able to get them sold separately. The Cannular canning machine only weighs 18 kilograms. Now it does have these rubber feet on the bottom to help prevent it slide around the bench top, but to be honest with you, if you're doing a large run of cans, I really prefer to use the included brackets, which are on the underside of the machine here, and actually just screw it down to the bench top. So I've just got a plywood board on the bench top here, and I've just put a few screws in it like that. Now that'll make it nice and secure, so that way it doesn't move around when I'm pulling the lever back and forward on the side here. Now canning can be a little bit of a messy business, so it's good to do this in an area where you can easily wash down, or even outside if that's possible. Today I'm going to show you how to use one of these beer guns to fill the cans. It's really straightforward. I've got my gas supply, so I've got CO2 coming in the underside of the gun here. So I use this trigger here, and you can see I can just press that button and a little bit of CO2 comes out the end. Now that's going to help purge some of the air out of the can before I fill. But really the most important thing when you're filling a can is to make sure that when you put the cap on the can, you're filling on foam, and that's really, really important because that headspace left at the top of the can, that's really going to be full of oxygen, and if we don't fill on foam and push that cap down onto the foam, then we're going to end up with possible some oxygen, dissolved oxygen in the can, and that's going to reduce the shelf life, and it's also going to mean that the beer won't taste as good or as fresh as what it could do. All right, now with filling the can, it's a fairly straightforward process. I'm just going to get this gun, purge out the oxygen as best I can with the first trigger. Then with this second trigger here, I'm just going to fill the can up. Now making sure the beer is nice and cold is really important for this process. If you have warm beer, you're going to end up pouring a lot of foam, and that means you're not going to have enough product in the actual can itself. So as I fill the can up like so, what I want to do is I want to make sure that it's pretty much all beer, but I want to make sure that there's foam on top just like that. That's really, really important that we're filling onto a head of foam like that, because that's going to evacuate the oxygen out of there. Then I just get the lids, which I've sanitized here, and as you can see, the lids sort of actually fit slightly below the edge of the can here. So this is actually sort of pushing down onto that foam and pushing that air out of there. So a little bit of overflow like that. Now that can make canning a little bit messy because this will flick off, which is one of the reasons why it's kind of good to do this in an area where you can easily clean up later. Making sure this lever is in the lowered position, put the can onto the machine, then put it into the up position. Now on the side of the machine, you want to turn this button on here, then push the lever away from me. Only push it in each direction for a couple of seconds, Then pulling it forward just to finish the seal. Then make sure to turn the canning machine off before lowering it again. And there you go, a perfectly sealed can. Thanks for that, guys. Hope you enjoy using the Cannular canning machine. Certainly, aluminium cans are one of the best ways to preserve the quality of your beverage, and it's such a fantastic way to take beer or any other carbonated beverage to all those sporting events or out in the park or around the pool where bottles and other packaging types are not really ideal. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.